Hello there, and welcome to this week's Consulting Room Pause for Thought, where we are going to be talking about focus. And really the curse of multitasking is where we start with this. Multitasking as a term was first used back in the 1960s by IBM when they were introducing a new computer, and they described multitasking as the use of a single CPU for the simultaneous processing of two or more jobs. But in reality, what the CPU does is it doesn't do two things simultaneously. It switches from one to the other, back to the first, back to the second. And that's what humans do as well when they think they're multitasking. But we pay a heavy price for it compared to a CPU because we are not good at switching from one thing to another thing, back to the first thing, back to the second thing, or even onto a third thing and back. So people who think that they can multitask really can't. Because it takes a long time to refocus once you have an interruption. And there's research around this. The University of California and the Institute of Psychology in Humboldt University in Germany created a joint paper on some research they've done about this, about how long it takes to refocus. And what they said is it takes an average of just over 23 minutes to refocus back to the point where you were at when you had the interruption. So the true cost of a distraction is the length of the distraction plus about 23 minutes. And if you're constantly getting distracted and interrupted through the day, then are we ever really focusing on anything? And the research also said that attention distraction, where we're interrupted, where we're trying to do lots of different things at the same time, leads to higher stress levels. It leads to being in a bad mood, which is not great if you're then interacting with customers or colleagues, and it leads to lower productivity. So it's a real problem for businesses, this lack of ability to focus, this interruption culture that we've got, if you like. And we're only making it worse in our leisure time because we're training ourselves to split our attention between things. We're training our brains not to be able to focus. So you may recognize this picture of in the evening when you've finished your work and you're sitting down having a rest, the television is on, but you're only half watching the television because you're also half checking on social media, or an email's come in and you're just going to check and see whether it's from that customer or that colleague that you needed to hear from. So we switch from the television to the laptop or the phone or whatever it happens to be. And we train ourselves on a regular basis to split our attention, not to be able to focus. In fact, in 2018, Ofcom said that Britons check their smartphones every 12 minutes. And if it takes 23 minutes to refocus, then you can do the maths for yourself. And 40% of people check their smartphone within 5 minutes of waking up. So if you're starting your day on somebody else's agenda effectively, then do we ever really get back onto our own agenda? And a lot of people wear this sort of badge of honor of, oh, I'm really busy at the moment. Oh, it's mad, it's manic at work. As though it's a good thing to be massively busy, to have loads of things to do and never be finished, have a to-do list that's always longer than your arm, or in lots of cases have 3 or 4 different to-do lists. But being busy shouldn't be seen as a badge of honor. It should be seen as a lack of ability to focus and prioritize and do the things that are important for what Cal Newport in his book called deep work. And this is part of the antidote, is to practice focusing, to practice single tasking. So, challenge for you tonight, find a television program that's on for at least an hour and watch it for at least an hour without looking at your laptop, your phone, your tablet, anything else. Just try and focus on one thing for an hour. If you're used to sitting there with something in your hand, you find it surprisingly difficult to just focus on a television program for an hour, but it's starting to train your brain to focus. Mindfulness, meditation, those kind of practices can do the same thing. They help to calm the mind, to teach the mind to focus on one thing at a time. And it's really important to identify what's important, to be able to prioritize, to know where your focus should be. Because if you have a task list which has 28 different things on it, what people tend to do is pick, that one is easy, that one won't take long, that one I quite enjoy doing, and a lot of those really important things don't get done. So focus on a small number of things. Warren Buffett, one of the most successful business people in the world, said the difference between successful people and really successful people is that really successful people say no to almost everything. Because when you say yes to something, you're saying no to something else. So be conscious about what you're saying no to and focus on the priorities. And Steve Jobs when he went back to Apple in 1997, identified that one of their big problems was they had too many products or too many different things they were working on. So he reduced the company's output, the number of products that they were making, from 350 down to just 10 different products across 4 individual lines. So focusing down, reducing the number of things that you do, being able to prioritize is really important. So what other steps can we take? Well, remove distractions, be aware of what distractions, technological, visual, sound, people there are around you, and try and control them. This chap here, Victor Hugo, who wrote Les Miserables and The Hunchback of Notre Dame, fascinating character. Encourage you to Google him and read about his life. He actually spent the last 15 years of his life living on a road in Paris that was named after him, Avenue Victor Hugo. So he was a celebrity at a time when they didn't have the sort of celebrity culture we have now, but it meant that when he went out walking in Paris, everybody wanted to talk to him. He could go out for the day and just spend the whole day talking to people. That was fine, but it meant he wasn't very good at focusing on getting the book done. And when he got what's the equivalent of £1 million advance to write Les Miserables, a lot of money, he decided that he needed to remove distractions. And the way that he did it was he went into a room first thing in the morning, which just had a desk, a pen, and some paper. And he took off all his clothes, called a servant in and said, take those away and don't bring them back to me until this evening. And then he wasn't able to go out wandering around Paris, chatting to people. So he was able to focus on the book. And I'm not recommending that you take all your clothes off, especially if you work in an office at the moment. But do think about how you can remove the distractions that are around you. Set boundaries with people. Tell them when you need to focus. Give them a visual signal. Sometimes just putting headphones in will keep people away because they have that sort of visual signal that you don't want to be disturbed. Control the environment around you. Think actively about where is the best place for me to focus, for me to read, for me to research, for me to whatever it happens to be that you want to do. This cafe in Edinburgh became quite famous. It was where J.K. Rowling wrote the first Harry Potter book. Because she wasn't able to do it in the flat she was living in, she wasn't able to focus, so she created a space where she could focus. And when she came to writing the last Harry Potter book, she checked herself into a 5-star luxury hotel to do the same thing. So create an environment where you feel able to focus, build your focus muscle. See focus as a muscle that has to be developed, that has to be worked on. The more you work it, the better you get at it. Use things like the Pomodoro technique, which some of you will have come across, which is simply Pomodoro, the Italian word for tomato. It was a tomato-shaped timer that started it. Set a timer. You can do it on your phone. You can do it with a physical timer. Set a timer for 25 minutes is the classic amount, and just do one thing for that 25 minutes. Do not allow yourself to be interrupted. Do not allow your mind to be distracted. And it's amazing how much you can get done if you really focus. 25 minutes isn't a rule. It's just a guideline. You can do it for 50 minutes if you need to get more done. But setting a timer and focusing for an individual period of time helps to build that focus muscle that we want to do. And focus is what we've identified as one of the 7 essential business skills for the 21st century. You want to know what the other 6 are, then come along to our free session at 1 o'clock on the 4th of November. Get in touch with myself or Michael. We'll happily book you onto that and tell you what we think the other 7 essential business skills are. We've also got on the 18th of November 5 finance numbers business owners need to know. So if you want to get onto either of those sessions, get in touch with me, get in touch with Michael, and we look forward to seeing you soon. Thanks.